All right, you guys. So I wanted to make a good video for you today. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people are interested in. I always like getting an idea of where people are at with their personal finances as a whole, but also like how they invest their money, what their strategy is, what their asset allocation is, everything. Like I just want to know it all. And I kind of want to do my part in sharing that stuff with you guys today. So I want to go over basically how I invest my money in my 20s, what accounts I have in it, and what sort of investments that I have. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right on into it. So first and foremost, my most important, in my opinion, investment account is going to be my Roth IRA. I've made videos about this before. I won't get too depth into what the Roth IRA is, but if you're not sure what it is, basically it's a retirement account that you can open on your own. You don't need an employer or a company to sponsor it. There are some tax benefits to it that basically allow you to, as long as you follow the rules, you can basically withdraw the money when you're ready to retire tax free. So you put the money in after it's taxed, you invest it, you allow it to grow and compound, earn dividends and capital gains and all things of that nature. And again, as long as you follow certain rules, mainly waiting till you're 59 and a half in order to withdraw it, you basically pull that money out tax free. It's an incredible investment account to help avoid paying taxes. If you aren't familiar with the Roth IRA, definitely go ahead and look into it. But with my Roth, I have a few different investments in there. A large portion of my Roth IRA is just in the S&P 500. So I'm a big fan of VOO, also known as VOO. This is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. So basically, when I buy a share of this, I'm buying a small portion of the 500 largest companies in the US. By far my favorite investment. If I had to choose one investment to stick with my entire life, all my money would be in the S&P 500. Basically, when you invest in the S&P 500, you're investing in the United States. So as long as the United States is alive and prospering in 40 years, I should be in good shape. So that's that. I also have some other exposure in my Roth. I do have some money invested in a mid cap ETF, which is like mid sized companies, and then also a small cap ETF. So that's like smaller companies that I feel like can grow. There's a larger chance for bigger growth in the future, but for right now, it may not see the same growth as another fund per se. So there is risk to it, but there can also be upwards or more reward to it as well. I have a small portion of my portfolio in both of those. I do also have some exposure to an international equity ETF, so I do like to diversify my portfolio and gain exposure to a lot of different areas. So in order to do that, I do have an ETF that basically holds international companies, again, just to kind of leverage and make sure I have exposure in a lot of different areas. Finally, as far as ETFs go, I do have some Schwab dividend ETF in there, not a lot. And I know a lot of people might be against having like a dividend ETF in your Roth IRA, but I just have some exposure in there. Again, I like to diversify. I'm a big fan of dividends, and I'm just curious to see how that you know performs over a long period of time versus the S&P 500. So I have some of that in my Roth as well. And then finally, I have some Tesla in my Roth IRA too. I made a video about Tesla, why I'm such a big believer in it, and I definitely have some exposure to it in my Roth IRA as well, hoping to see some really good gains over the next 10 years or even longer when it comes to Tesla. I have no plans of selling that at any time in the near future. So I'm excited to see how that performs as well. Moving on to my brokerage account. I don't have too much in my brokerage account. I'll be honest, most of it is in the S&P 500. Again, VOO or VOO, which is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. I also have some SCHD in there as well, which again is Schwab's dividend ETF. So really the focus there is some passive income. I love the idea of passive income, and I think dividend ETFs is the easiest way to go ahead and do that. Also, the dividends are favorable when it comes to taxes. So I have a portion of my brokerage account in that. And then finally, I have some more Tesla as well. in my brokerage account. So as you can see, big fan of the S&P 500 as well as dividend ETFs, and then I'm a big believer in Tesla. So those three components right there make up a large portion of my overall investment portfolio across all my accounts. Um, Oh, and I do have some REITs as well. A very small portion of money of my portfolio is invested in REITs, which is basically just a real estate investment trust. It's a company that invests or owns real estate. So as they earn money, they basically pay a dividend back to the stock owner on a monthly basis. So that's a little bit of extra passive income. However, it's taxed differently than qualified dividends. It's taxed as ordinary income. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you're looking into investing in REITs. The only reason I have exposure to it is I want exposure to the real estate market, but I don't have the capital at the moment to actually purchase real estate. I do rent at the moment, so I wanted some sort of exposure to that market. So the best way that I felt to do that was to begin investing in REITs. So I do have a little bit of money in there as well. Finally, let's talk about crypto. I've been investing in crypto for about 5 years. A large portion of my money is in Ethereum. I do have some other coins that I feel like I could make some money on, or they could go to zero. Even if my entire crypto portfolio went to zero, I would be fine. I have most of my money in stocks and ETFs and things of that nature. But I don't want to miss out on the gains that I think crypto can bring over the next decade. So I have some money allocated. Again, it's a small portion of my overall portfolio. The one thing that I definitely want to do over the next couple of years is start gaining more exposure to Bitcoin. A lot of people might say, "Oh, you're late," but people were saying that when Bitcoin was at 30 grand, when it was at 10 grand, when it was at 5 grand. It's the same old story. So I definitely want to start gaining more exposure to Bitcoin. I don't have any Bitcoin at the time, or if I do, it's a very small amount. I have to check my account, honestly. But my main focus in crypto has been Ethereum, and then some other, sort of altcoins or meme coins, if you will, to see if I can make some money on that. But again, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket when it comes to that. But I do want to go ahead and focus on gaining some more Bitcoin in the near future here. And as far as moving forward in 2026 here, what am I focusing on? Number one, my main priority is maxing out my Roth IRA. That is the number one priority for me every single year when it comes to investing. On top of that, I want to consistently invest into my brokerage account, keep building on that. And then, as I mentioned, I want to go ahead and build out my crypto portfolio a little bit more, gain some exposure to Bitcoin, and possibly add to my position in Ethereum. I probably won't be adding to any of those altcoins just because I'm kind of, I threw some money in them and I'll see what happens. But yeah, man, that's it. That's kind of how I invest my money in my 20s and what my plan is for the next year here. I'm kind of curious what your guys' plan is and how you go about your investments. Definitely drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. What are you heavily invested in? What's your number one holding? What's your plan for the new year here? I'm curious to see where you guys are at and what your thoughts are. So definitely drop a comment below. If you are new here, I post every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and then on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time, I post all kinds of things: personal finance, life experiences, really just anything I feel like talking about that I think you guys might relate to or learn from. And I love hearing from you guys. I appreciate the comments and all that kind of stuff. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.